Hello, hello. We see nothing, but you hear me. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our coverage of the IPO 2022 €300 main event. My name is Pred Poker, otherwise known as Tom Parsons if you are looking for my real name. Full-time poker player, and for this weekend, I am your commentator, bringing you action from day one of this main event, day two in the final table of the Super High Roller, which came to conclusion yesterday evening. And this fine day, we have day two of the €300 main event. There were 807 total runners, 103 places paid, and after this dinner break, we are coming back to about 20, 30. I have absolutely no idea, because my eyesight is not that good. Let's just say 30 players. I'll look at the live chip counts and I'll give you guys a guesstimation here of what it is half an hour in the future, which would have been an hour in the past by the time we're half an hour in the future. Hope everyone's doing well. If you're watching on Unibet Poker on Twitch channel, hello, hello. If you're watching through Facebook, YouTube, or the IPO website, hi. Hope you're all having a good day today. Hope you're going to enjoy the content and the commentary from myself. Hope I can give you guys some good hand analysis, some good breakdown on the reasoning for why some players may do some things and why they may choose to not do some things as well. I will try and keep my analysis closer to game theory, or at least my understanding of more sort of solved and proven play. But I myself am not infallible, nor are the solvers, because it is a game of imperfect information. So I'll do my best to give you guys a rough general idea of whether or not what something someone is doing seems pretty legit. But of course we are playing No Limit Hold'em. There is no limit, quite literally, to what you can do except for what is in your chip stack on any of the betting streets, be that before the flop, on the flop, on the turn, on the river. Or, you know, even before the flop, you could do something blind. We had some blind raising from Max Silver in the 1K. Bit of crack, essentially straddling. But the players are just going to be getting settled in here after their dinner break. And then we will join a new feature table. Table 4, working their way down to this feature table. Names to look out for: Paul Carr, start of day chip leader, and I think he is the current chip leader. He has 2.2 million chips. Wow, over 100 big blinds coming in to the final few levels here. We have Mark McDonnell, Gareth McMahon. Yeah, don't worry about it, country. The players have not sat down yet, so we have not flicked it over. But I just know, because I've got a special little app on my phone. We have Kirkovich. I think he was playing the high roller, or was he playing day 1B? He was playing day 1B. He played day 1B. He'll be sitting in seat 1. Our French fiend, I think is what I kept calling him. He'll be on the feature table. Kenneth Crowley, Michael Farley, Winston Jones, and Marian Bucher-Bogdan from Romania will be making our feature table. Some big stacks. The big one to look out for is Paul Carr. Many of you will know Paul Carr. He is an Irish poker regular, and he is running hot at the minute. He has just come off the back of not one, but 2 wins in the Irish Poker Tour. Not only is it just 2 wins, it is back-to-back wins. You can see him wrapping the badge there in seat 4. That Irish Poker Tour badge. 2.2 million chips he is coming into the day with, and this is going to be an exciting final table. Seat 1, our French fiend, who was in seat 9. I think it was day 1B main event coverage. He is still in this event. Ilan Kukovic was playing some very solid poker. I expect good things out of him on this day 2. Gareth McMahon in seat 2, almost 2 million chips himself, if these chip counts that I have are accurate. And that is some stack to be holding at this moment in the tournament. That is 100 big blinds. Paul Carr, of course, in seat 4, but seat 3, Kenneth Croyley. Not sure where this big man's from, but he's sitting on a stack of 300k. To the right of Paul Carr is Michael Farley. 500,000 chips in his stack. Seat 6, the short stack at the table, Winston Jones, 200,000 chips. Seat 7, we have Marion Bucher Bogdan. He is also a short stack, 200k. 10 big blinds each for both of these lads. And in seat 8, we have Mark McDonnell. 1.2 million chips himself, a nice big stack. There we go. The dealers are shuffling. And I hope you guys are ready for action. Paul Carr, a very exciting player to watch. Plays loose, but knows how to play well. Seat 1. Ilan Kukovic, talked about him a wee bit already at the start of this post-dinner session. Made some good squeezes and some good plays. Very solid post-flop sizings. Playing the Day 1B feature table. We are now on Day 2 and we are going to play down to a final table today. I think there's like 20 odd people left in the tournament, so we're actually not going to be that far off. I could be completely wrong. I could be so far off. There could be like 40 people left. I'll get the chip counts up for you guys, and I'll have a little peek, a little smooge at the chip stacks, and I'll not spoil anything, but I just want to get you guys a rough understanding of how much ICM is going to come into play here with pay jumps, with that final table looming. And Farley, very reasonable open here, off of 22 bigs with Queen 9 suited in the cutoff. And it looks like he's just going to take this one down. Kukovic having to fold his 5-3. Lovely stack there for Kukovic, just shy of 1 million chips, 50 big blinds. Very, very lovely, very playable at this stage of the tournament. He wasn't running too well in Day 1B, and I think we actually might have lost him from our table in Day 1B, if my memory serves me correctly. Which does mean that he fired a second bullet, and he has made his way deep into Day 2 here. The player on his direct left, I do also recognise, but when I say his name, Gareth McMahon, it doesn't ring many bells, but definitely seen his face about the live scene around here in Ireland. Are there any giveaways? You're just going to have to watch the whole stream and find out. You're just going to have to watch the stream. There might be, and no promises, but there might be a 5k giveaway at the end of the stream. Alright, we're going to see a couple of hands fold here. Jones, 7-5 suited in the hijack, 10 big blinds, just going to have to be a fold. Hey, it's going to be all in. Pocket 8s, snowmen, nom-noms. 11 big blinds, very reasonable shove. Folds around to the big blind, and it's going to get through. Today is Sunday, main event chip counts. Alright, so Paul Carr is our chip leader with this 2 million chip stack that we already knew. I would just like to know how many players are remaining, at least roughly. So it looks like there are around 30 players remaining, which is what I thought was the case. We have a couple of names still in the field. Fime, who we've had on our feature table, is still in, but a short stack. Carr, ace-king suited, banging hand from under the gun. He's going to be raising this one up off of over 100 big blinds. Marius Sidonis still in as a short stack. Dara Davey, well-known Irish player, still in this main event and one to watch if he picks up some chips. Namir Mohammed also still in, was just on our feature table before dinner. Of course, David Lappin up there as well, but some huge stacks for some of these players. Of course, some of those players including Paul Carr on your feature table. Mark McDonnell, Kukovic. This is a deep feature table. We have 3, I think, of the biggest stacks in the tournament right now. Yo, Tough. Grid and Allison enjoying the stream. Thank you very much. You should tell them that they need to pay me like, let's go for something reasonable, like £100 an hour. We're going to boycott the next stream unless I get £100 an hour. I wish I had those kind of demanding powers. Yeah, I'm worth that I'm worth that amount of money. No bother. All right, folds round to the blinds. Crowley. Very reasonable hand to complete from the small blind. But he just folds to Paul Carr. That's a bit of a tight fold. A suited queen is the kind of hand that you're going to want to continue with in the small blind, even off of a short stack. So I'm a little bit surprised to see the walk there. Maybe he knows Paul is aggressive. Maybe he knows if he limps, he's getting raised. But even calling a limp raise to 2.5 big blinds there with the suited queen is going to be pretty reasonable. You're going to have a lot of post-flop equity. And if you know that Paul is coming in with lots of raises, Queen 3 suited's a really fucking strong hand. Just ripping it over his face, you know. Show him a bit of what's happening, what you're made of on this feature table. All right, let's go. Folding round to these middle position players. Kukovic gonna have to fold the 9-2 off. Ooh, ooh. Is this an open from 9-2 off? Is he trying to show his friends that he's got a little bit of something going on here? Paul Carr gonna find the call here with the ace-2 of diamonds, but not for long. These chips are not going to stay in front of these players because Farley is going to move all in with the ace-queen and 25 big blinds. And if he doesn't, you guys should fire me from commentary forever. Not all in 3 bets. He calls! He calls. Farley, I'm fired! I'm not allowed to play poker ever again. Paul Carr continues to run well, flopping the nut flush draw here in a multi-way pot. Kukovic getting extraordinarily out of line with the 9-2 off here. I think he might just be doing this for the stream. I would be very surprised to see him doing this as a steal. It is not the kind of hand you're going to want to use. Maybe he has a prop bet with his friends. Maybe he said, lads, look, if I get on feature table, I'll do this for you guys. And Paul going to come out firing on the turn once the flop is checked through. 65k, half pot. Kukovic does actually pick up the open ender. He does have a heart in his hand as well. There is not an unreasonable chance that we see a float flop with the 9 deuce. Or a turn float, sorry. And it looks like it's going to happen. Kukovic getting out of line, but it's actually a pretty reasonable turn for his hand to continue with. The board pairs. Paul should give up here. He doesn't really want to turn his hand into a bluff. Bluffing with flush draws is not amazing, but Paul is, he doesn't care. Paul does not care. Paul is firing. You would normally see ace deuce of diamonds slow down a lot here, especially when the board pairs. Because if you're bluffing your missed diamonds, you're bluffing a lot of your missed hands. Not only that, but you're also unblocking your opponent's value range. You want your opponent to have checked back diamonds in this spot. And I think Kukovic might sniff this out and go for a raise. I think he might turn this 9-2. Because if you're going to get to river here with the 9-2, you're blocking Jack 9, you're blocking 9-6. And I think we have just seen the raise from Kukovic. And Paul, of course, snap folds. Wow, what a play. I mean, it's definitely the right move once you've floated turn. The board pairs. You have 9 high, and it's not really a hand that you're going to want to just have to fold here. You're going to want to carry it on, and holding that 9 is a very strong card to have. Removes a lot of the value range from the small blind, but a very unconventional hand. Ace Queen should have been in the middle. Kukovic shouldn't have been in that hand in the first place. He should have just been folding that hand pre-flop. And it does look like we're going to get action on this feature table. 9 high like a boss. And to be fair, it was the right play, you know. Floating turn actually very reasonable with the open-ender. Holding a heart, meaning that if checked you on the river, you can use that hand as a bluff. Paul Carr, though, waking up with pocket 9s here on the button. Very reasonable open. Farley, ace-3 suited in the small blind, off of his short stack. Could use this one as an all-in for 23 big blinds. Does let it go, completely reasonable to fold that one, and of course Jones off his short stack, gonna have to fold the deuce-3 off. Would have showed it, showed that you opened the 9-2. But it looks like we're in store for a treat today. Kukovic getting a little bit out of line with that pre-flop raise. Because once he plays that hand, he did recognize that even though he's played an absolute garbo, the 9 is a very strong card to have. He didn't have any diamonds. And Paul is a very aggressive player, and these guys will have been playing with each other at the very least for day 2. But they could have also been with each other for day 1. And Paul Carr is a very aggressive player. He does like to bet a lot. He does like to play hands. Kukovic, Jack-7 suited again, a little bit loose of an open, but he may have player-specific reads on this table. But Jack-7 suited, not a hand I would recommend from opening this early position. Farley with a very standard call on the button here, off of 22 bigs with the king-queen. Big blind. We don't get to see what he has off his short stack, but he is going to let this one go. Heads up to a flop. Jack-7 suited just a little bit too loose for my liking from this early position, especially with the stacks in the blinds. Doesn't stop Kukovic from flopping top pair. Farley with 2 overs on the open-ender. This is a board that the early position player is going to check a reasonable amount to the button. It's a very good board for the button's range. The button's going to be flatting a lot of suited hands. They're going to be flatting a lot of broadways and combination hands that connect with this board. I would like to see a check from Kukovic, but he does seem to fire out a c-bet. Something in the range of 50,000 would be reasonable, but instead he goes big. He wants to make this a 2-street hand. Betting 110 on the flop. Wants to be able to shove favourable turn cards, non-hearts, low cards. Cards that don't complete flushes, don't complete straights, but I don't recommend betting this sizing. I can see his reasoning. But there's far too many hands that are beating you, far too many hands with great equity that you're just going to value yourself on. There's just too much going on to take a big sizing here from Kukovic. Farley potentially considering the all-in, and whoa! He actually folds. That is a tight fold from Farley. 2 over cards on the open-ended straight draw. Folds to the big c-bet sizing. If Kukovic has been playing with these guys today, maybe he does have player-specific reads. Maybe he does know that this player overfolds 2 larger sizings. But the larger sizing gets it done, and Kukovic gets away with the Jack-7 suited open from early position, a little bit too loose. But he picks up the chips, and a great start for him on this feature table. Kukovic 1.3 million, McMahon 1.9, Paul Carr, tournament and table chip leader, 2 million chips. And look at that start for Kukovic, increasing his stack by 335k. very, very quickly, very early on this feature table. With some unconventional play, to say the least. Definitely not particularly theory. But the big bet on that flop, definitely not massively unreasonable. Checking there and betting big, both very reasonable options. Checking does allow you to go for some check raises. Of course, a hand like Jack 7 suited, not going to get the money in on that flop. Oh, you guys can't hear the table, can you? That is my bad. But maybe you can. I don't know. Can you guys hear the action on the table, or can you just hear me? I'm guessing you can hear the action on the table. I feel like someone would have said. If I'm suited in the small blind, it's going to be a reasonable shove for 11 big blinds. But wow. Just folds. I think that's the worst option from Booker. Definitely going to want to call there a lot. Very, very playable hand from the small blind, that 8-5 suited. All-in's going to be pretty reasonable there. But I think limping definitely the best option with the 8-5 suited. Completing your small blind. Allowing yourself to see a flop. Because if you overfold from the small blind, it's going to make it very easy for big blinds to play against you whenever you do decide to raise pre. They know that you're playing too tight a range. They know they can make explodable folds then. Crowley going to be all in here with the pocket threes. Paul, Farley, Jones all should fold here. Ace deuce on the button. Not going to be able to call. McDonald, of course, going to let this one go. Folds around to Kukovic in the big blind. Ace 7 suited. It's a 13 big blind shove. It's very, very close with Ace 7 suited. I think either way is completely okay. Ace 9 suited, you're never folding. Ace 8 suited, I think it's close. Ace 7 suited is definitely borderline. 13 big blinds. And it's good to see that Kukovic is thinking about it. He hasn't snapped it off. It is not an easy spot with Ace 7 suited. And he folds the ace. And I think that's a very reasonable fold with Ace 7 suited. Not going to fold Ace 10 suited there. Ace 9 suited probably goes in, but Ace 8 and Ace 7 definitely going to be more borderline. Alright, we get the Silver Fox coming back. Dealer change onto this table. Couple of bottles of water getting ordered for the table. They know how to live at large. Gonna see a couple of folds from the early position players here. Couple of short stacks in late position. Jones, pocket aces for his 7 big blinds. All in, the only move. And it is made. McDonald gonna fold from the button. And he's gonna be devastated not to see a call there. The best hand that he could have found. Unfortunately, generating no action for him. We can only hear you in some background chatter behind you. No table talk. Is that any better? I can't really hear table talk. There's not much of it. Can you hear like the chip shuffling and all that stuff? I'm going to mute my mic, and for the next 10 seconds, tell me if you guys hear anything. Do you guys hear any of that? Any of the card flicking? Any of the chips shuffling? Or just the sound of my soothing tones? Kukovic, very reasonable open here with the Jack 9 off on the button. Taff says ye. Nice. Good to know, good to know. Ace deuce, very reasonable, all in hand here. Kukovic, of course, going to have to fold the Jack 9. Nice move from Crowley. Very quick dealer, very nice. Just your dulcet tones. The smooth, buttery voice whispering into your ears. I can hear a giveaway coming. For your chance to win £5,000, you should subscribe to twitch.tv/PredPoker. Should be in his channel every time he goes live. Support him, donate to his stream. Your kid's university fund? That's nothing compared to supporting your favorite streamer. Ooh, McDonald, pocket aces. Nice hand, buddy. Nice easy open from the hijack. Kukovic, king jack suited in the cutoff. Very reasonable hand to just call. Excuse me. Is considering the 3-bet with this suited combination, but he does see better. It is a hand that performs well multi-way, it performs well in position. And Paul is going to come along with the king 9. Definitely not an unreasonable holding for Paul to come along with. Could get some drama on a king high flop. Instead it's a jack high flop, not great for Kukovic. Paul Carr also with a gut shot to the second nuts. McDonald still the clear favourite in this hand with pocket aces. And a very disciplined check from McDonald. And this is what I was saying. He understands that Kukovic's range is going to contain a lot of suited broadways. It's going to contain a lot of these kind of hands that have came in with one pair, a pair, and 3 just straight, some backdoor flush draws, some open enders. And I think McDonald's going to go for the check raise here. I would like to see it. I would like to see him make this 1,750, maybe 200,000. We do see the check raise, 180,000, bang in between the kind of numbers I've been giving, and Kukovic not going to be able to get away from this flop just yet. Doesn't want to overplay his hand, no need to get any more money in on the flop for the king jack. Top pair, backdoor flush draw. A queen might slow down McDonald. It's not a great turn card to see. Whenever you're holding the aces here, Kukovic has now completed some of his straights, turned some of his 2 pairs. Paul Carr, of course, folding king 9. Wouldn't have been able to make it this far into the hand under normal circumstances. And it does look like McDonald is going to continue. This should send some warning bells to Kukovic, and I do think he's going to be able to fold his king jack now. It is a little bit interesting in that Kukovic does have a king in his hand. He does not contain any diamonds. He's blocking ace-king. What kind of hands are going to check raise him on the flop that also continue on the turn? Aces, kings, queens, ace-jack, jack 10, jacks, 10s, 5s. There's not many hands the check raise that Kukovic is beating on this turn. But we do see the continuation. It is going to be harder to fold the King Jack here. He doesn't have diamonds in his hand. Oh my days. McDonald definitely going to slow down now. I would be incredibly surprised to see McDonald fire another bet, but Kukovic is going to be very happy with that river card. It just does not make sense for McDonald to continue with pocket aces here. He's looking at his chips though, and that is usually a tell that they would like to bet. Working out how many chips he has, how many chips are in the pot. But I just can't see this being a value bet. You've check raised, the imposition player has called you, and this is a horrid bet from the pocket aces. Yes, we can see what Kukovic has. But this is not a good bet. It's not a good bet at all. It just doesn't achieve anything. What are you trying to fold out? I just really don't rate that. That river bet from McDonald, it's just not good. It's just not going to achieve anything. He's going to be annoyed with himself. You have to consider what kind of hands is Kukovic going to call your check raise and turn continuation with that you're beating on this river card, that you can get value from on this river card? 8-9 makes it straight. Do you think you're going to get value from King Queen? King Queen's going to fold that river. And even if it's just King Queen that you're trying to get value from, that is very, very thin. Kukovic getting gifted a couple of chips there on that river card. Kukovic now almost up to 2 million chips. Paul Carr, reasonable hand here in the small blind. Ace-9 suited, playing 20 big blinds effective with Farley. I would like to see a completion. Very, very nice from Paul here. There was a call from the King Jack, and King Jack won the hand. Farley considering his options with the Ace-4 off here. And it looks like he's going to go for a raise. I think Ace-4 off definitely works better as a check back here. 20 big blinds effective. But Paul, of course, going to be going nowhere with this Ace-9 suited. Could also use it as a check jam. But the last thing that Paul is going to do here is fold. As you can see, he's a 69% nice favorite to win this hand pre-flop. It does look like Paul is going to make the call. I do think that is the correct line to take in this hand, and both players flopping a pair. Flush draw on board, Jack-9-4, two-tone. Paul going to check this flop. Farley should check back. Does not want to bloat the pot with bottom pair. Doesn't want to get check jammed off whatever showdown or equity he has. I would very much like to see a check back from Farley. You have to think about Paul Carr's limp calling range. It's going to contain a lot of Jack-X, a lot of 9X, a lot of suited hands. And I think this bet is just throwing money to the wind. It's a really nice spot to check back with bottom pair. You're just losing money to so many hands. So many turn cards are bad for your hand. So many river cards are going to be bad for your hand. Your hand doesn't improve on future streets. So it's not exactly like you're value betting with your 4. You're not going to get much protection with your 4 either. On such a dynamic board, I don't really see what that bet achieves with the Ace-4. And Paul Carr Continues to check his hand. Farley should definitely shut down now. Absolutely no reason to be putting any more money into this pot. Showdown is where he wants to be. And does correctly so check back. An ace on the river would spell disaster for Farley, but we do just see the 6. This is where Paul could consider putting in a small block size bet with his ace-9, but I do prefer the check. Farley should just take showdown. He will get shown the bad news. He beats all of Paul's hands that might have continued on the flop. And he knows he's barely gotten away with one there. Nice hand to Paul, very well played with the ace-9. Not scared to take it post-flop, not scared to limp blind be blind, something that we've been seeing a lot of players miss the opportunity to do in these lower live buy-ins. Of course, we saw it quite a lot in the super high roller. But you can't be scared of monsters in the dark. You have to be able to navigate these streets post-flop. And Paul making the correct decision to limp that ace-9 pre. Just calling. Navigating post-flop very, very cleanly. Nice hand to Paul. He does pick up some chips. McDonald, lovely hand here. 30 big blinds, pocket jacks. Expect to see an open here. No more than min is necessary. Especially off of 32 big blinds. Jack 10 suited for McMahon. In the hijack, a very reasonable hand to call. But Kukovic getting very out of line. 8-4 suited here from early position. This is not something that I would recommend doing. Kukovic must have had something in his coffee this morning because he's making some speculative plays pre-flop here. Doesn't look like he's going to get away with this one with the 8-4 of clubs. McDonald very happy with this board, and a c-bet would do nicely. Somewhere in the midst of 50k. Oh, we didn't see a call from from Kukovic. I was going to say, I was like, Kukovic is getting a little bit out of line here. Getting a little bit out of line. I didn't see what that flop sizing was from McDonald, but McMahon making a pretty disciplined fold there with the Jack 10 of clubs. No backdoor flush draw, but he does have 2 overcards to the board and 3 days straight. Definitely would not have been an unreasonable continuation from the in-position player. It's something I think he should have considered, or hopefully did consider. McDonald and Kukovic both going to fold these hands. McMahon, ace-queen, lovely hand here to pick up in +2. Haven't seen too much of him so far today, but he has a lovely chip stack. Very calm demeanor about him. He did raise it up to ace-queen here. The action just not showing on the screen. Folds 2, Booker in the big blind. King 5 suited going to be a hand that he should be defending in this situation. Especially off of a short stack. Whoa! That is too tight. That is way too tight. Can't be folding a hand as strong as King 5 suited in the big blind. Not off 10 big blinds, 15 big blinds, 100 big blinds, 300 big blinds. Not to a single raise in a heads-up pot. Closing the action in the big blind. That is a very, 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 very tight fold from the big blind. It's something that he shouldn't be doing. King 5 suited a very comfortable defend. Bleeding a little bit of EV there from the big blind. Crowley, ace-3 suited. Very reasonable hand to open. Gonna fold round to the big blind here. McDonald pocket 7s. Should just be all in here with the effective stack sizes. Crowley playing sub 20 big blinds. 7s. Gonna be good to go with here. You are ahead of 6s, you are ahead of 5s, you are ahead of 4s. You have a lot of fold equity. We do see the all-in, very nicely played by McDonald. And a very disciplined fold from Crowley. Nice shove, nice move from the pocket 7s of McDonald. Very standard, but some people do miss these things. Kukovic in the big blind here. Not going to be able to fold this ace-10. Cards are going to go in their backs. 60-40 favourite to pick up chips and eliminate Booker from the tournament. All in for just 12 big blinds. No help at all for the King-9 on this flop. Ace-10 in great shape. Forward pairing helps Kukovic as well. And that is GG to Booker. He is eliminated from our feature table. Jones with the beautiful hands here in the cutoff. Farley also has King Jack in the hijack, playing only 13.5 big blinds. It should be an all-in. Instead, it looks like he's going to go for the raise. Of course, Jones flicks it in. Mark going to be able to fold this ace-7. And Farley putting himself in a spot of trouble, but he might be able to get away from this one. Realistically, it should have been an all-in pre-flop off of his short stack size, and now he is just in a world of pain. Jones, very happy to see such a strong hand off 7 big blinds. And he does pick up those chips uncontested. Realistically, he should not have any fold equity versus Farley there. Farley, I guess, potentially saving himself some chips, but those cards should have been on their backs all in pre-flop. Farley, very standard shove here for 11 big blinds with the pocket fours over the open from Paul Carr. And Paul, of course, not going to fold the ace-10 here. But we have just seen a lot of aces and tens folded pre-flop. Carr not in great shape. Farley in a really nice spot to double up. Technically a flip, but we know a lot of Carr's outs are dead to hands that have been folded. And that's a really nice flop for the pocket fours. Some counterfeit outs on the turn if we see a card above a 4. So any ace, 10 or 6 will see Farley eliminated, but that is not the case. Pocket fours finding the full double. And 25 big blinds moving over to Farley. Saves himself an elimination with the king jack, finds the double with the pocket fours, and Wanschams is in the chat. Hello. Alright, Farley, 7-3, banging hand under the gun. Unfortunately, he might just have to let it go. Gonna fold round to Kukovic here in the cutoff with 10-8. Easy fold. McMahon, ace-7, haven't seen too much of him, but a very reasonable open. Crowley, ace-4 suited, very easy all in here. Does push. McMahon gonna get a count here. Ace-7 is gonna be on the borderline. Wouldn't be surprised if we do just see a fold, but it is going to be close, and he does just let it go. Does just decide to edge past this one. Definitely think the ace-7 is going to be close, especially if you're playing against a player who knows their shoving ranges from the small blind versus a button open. And we will be getting a redraw for our main event once we get down to, I think it might be the final 3 tables. Down to the final 27 players. Mark McDonald, established Irish pro, of course, going to open the Queen 10 suited from early position. The most established player at this table, potentially the most established left in the tournament. Dara Davey, I think, potentially still in. But I do believe Mark McDonald would be top of the live earnings in this tournament. Probably has the combined live earnings of a lot of the players put together. Farley here with pocket 2s in the big blind. Wondering if a shove is good, and a shove is going to be an option that is going to be taken pretty reasonably here. Especially versus a competent player like McDonald. You're not going to want to go post-flop too much versus these guys who are going to be able to outplay and navigate these streets much better than you are. King 4-5, if you're going to look for a good flop for the pocket 2s, this is really one of them. You also have the 2 of clubs, so you can turn a 2 without completing the flush. I have just been informed by Kukovic that he didn't have 9-2 off whenever we thought he was doing something for the boys on the stream. He had Queen 9 suited, and it was just a misread from the RFID, which is quite funny. He did still bluff the river. He did still use his 9, blocking the straights to bluff, of course. But he had Queen 9 suited, which makes a lot more sense. That makes so much more sense. So I have just been informed. Very good, very good. I didn't think he had 9-2 off. I was very surprised when he played that hand, but you know what? I thought he was just maybe loving it. Living the dream of the day too. Oh, we have McMahon involved in this hand. I didn't realize this was multi-way. Pocket sevens finds the hero. A pretty reasonable call down. Nice call by McMahon. Queen 10, a very reasonable bluff there from McDonald. Nearing the bottom of his range. Want a bluff from the bottom up, of course. His pairs have showdown. Yes, he blocks the backdoor flush draw, but he has no clubs in his hand, which is going to make it that little bit easier. Djokovic, 7-8 suited from early position, would be a little bit loose to open it up, and he does find the fold. Aha! I've now understood why the deck got changed on the table, because the RFID must have been messing up. The deck was changed not long after that 9-2 hand from Kukovic. I see it's all coming together. The story is all being brought back together in my mind. Kukovic remaining the solid player that we saw on day 1B. Not getting out of line with the 9-2 off that we thought he was. And that makes a lot more sense. A lot more sense. A6 off from under the gun. Just going to be a fold. Same with McMahon here in +1. Crowley short stacking the A7. It's going to be a fold here from the hijack. Paul Carr, pocket fives, a very reasonable open. Still playing just shy of a 100 big blind stack, 95 big blinds for the man who's running hot up the minute in the Irish poker scene. And Farrelly just going to have to let this gun go with 10-8 suited. Jones off his short stack. McDonald, the big one with 6-4 off. Not an unreasonable defend here versus a cutoff open, especially versus a min raise. I would expect to see a man so well versed in post-flop play take this one to the streets, and it looks like that is what we're going to see. And there you go. Flop a 6, easy life. Paul Carr's 5s, pip to the post, but of course a board that is still pretty reasonable for Paul. Does decide to check the 5s, and a very safe turn with the 6-4 of McDonald. Unlikely to see McDonald lead here on this turn. Paul, I think, going to be happy to see showdown with his pocket 5s. Does check the turn. 3 on the river. We may see a smidgen of blocking here from McDonald. Could just put in one big blind, but instead take showdown versus Paul. Does the job with his 6-4. And a small pot going the way to one of the most decorated players in Ireland. Dealer change. And just a reminder that whenever we see the table get broken here, it won't be because this table needs broken. It will be because we are down to our final 3 tables. We will have 27 players remaining and a redraw. Or 24 actually, I think they're playing 8-handed. So 24 players, we will have a redraw. I think, could be 27, could be 24. I guess we'll know if they're playing 9-handed or 8. But I think they're playing 8-handed. I think they are. Which means at 24 we will have a redraw and we will be that one step closer to our final 9. Playing for 39,000 euros and that Irish International Poker Open trophy. McMahon 10-8 suited onto the gun. A little bit too deep, unless... No, I like it. Okay. 10-9 suited for sure, I would open. 10-8 suited I think can probably slide its way into a low frequency, but I wouldn't advise opening this every time. Paul, Jack 10 off, speculative call here. Jack 10 suited going to perform much better. And I think I would actually prefer the Jack 10 off being used as a low frequency 3-bet. Incentivizing squeezes from players behind you. But it does fold round to the big blind. And we are going to go heads up to a flop. Queen 7-4 rainbow. I think this is a very solid bet to see a continuation from McMahon. Paul not folding his 3-2 straight, but he does have 2 undercards to the board. McMahon turns a pair. Paul picks up some equity. McMahon definitely with a very reasonable check now, and he does decide to do so. Paul betting small on the turn. This turn sizing doesn't really make much sense. McMahon never going to fold his 10-8 here. Definitely prefer a bigger turn sizing there from Paul. Paul is going to bluff this one. And McMahon, I don't think is going to fold to Paul here. It's a very small river sizing after a very small turn sizing. Maybe he thinks he's getting milked by a queen. But he's going to fold the best hand, and Paul gets a bluff through with Jack 10. Paul's unconventional, smaller sizing is getting it done. It does look like a queen trying to get value. But I can understand the fold from 10-8. Holding a 10 in your hand is not a great card to have. Blocking a lot of the potential bluffs that Paul might have. Who's going to win the tournament? Unfortunately, we will not know that until tomorrow, where you'll have to tune back in for the final table of this €300 main event at the International Poker Open. Myself, Pred Poker, will be commentating that final table, hopefully trying to give you guys some ICM analysis, some final table speculation, a little bit of drama. Never easy. ICM, never easy final tables. Bingo Poker asks for the payouts. The payouts you can find at the International Poker Open website. Jones, very simple shove here with the ace-6 suited from the cutoff. McDonald realizing that this is a very small all-in, but Queen 10, of course, not going to have enough equity. Kokrovich wants to know how much it is, but of course going to fold that Jack 10. And it's going to get through. McMahon not going to fold much from the big blind there. My ICM analysis is fold all but aces. We're getting a new deck by the looks of it. And I think they're just saying to make sure to stick those cards in the box. Let the folks at home see what business is coming along with those hands. All right. Paul Carr, king eight suited under the gun, a little bit speculative, and he does find the correct fold. Farrelly going to be opening these pocket eights, and Jones is going to be all in with the ace jack. It's very likely that we're going to see an all in and a call. A white hot all in moment. Farrelly almost losing a couple of his blue chips. I would like to just see a min raise here. Is he just going to move all in for 20 bigs? It would be a little bit too many, but it does look like that is his move. I mean, some people do make moves with this, like with hands, ace king, pocket eights, pocket sevens. I wouldn't advise just open shoving 20 big blinds from under the gun. And ace is dead, and that's not good for Jones. Jones all in with 9 bigs. We have a race, and ace has been folded. Ace jack. A 2-to-1 dog. Oh, ace on the flop. Eights need running cards or a snowman. Clubs, no help to either player. Farrelly needs an 8. No dice. Jones finds the double. And that's 20 big blinds. Jones has been expertly navigating that short stack. Biding his time, finding a couple of shove spots, managing to get them through off the short stack. And that's going to be a complete double. Farrelly down to 10 big blinds into the danger zone. But that's 22 big blinds for Jones. That is not an insignificant stack. And a very nice call from Jones with the ace jack. The hand essentially plays itself. But Jones has managed to stick around in the tournament for long enough. He's managed to find spots to pick up some chips. And he's now in real contention to play some pots, win some hands. A good expression of short stack play there from Jones. The play is going to continue. Paul Carr still, I think, our table chip leader here. Seat 2 doing well. Mark McDonald, of course, a big name to have on this table. His pocket aces hand could have been played perfectly. I feel like it wouldn't have been the way I would have done it, but 3-bet pots are always tricky, and he might have saved himself some chips. But I have just been joined in the booth once again by the one and only Dara O'Kearney. Hello, Dara.
Hi Tom, nice to be back. You just got me for 10 minutes. We're on a break from the high roller.
I was just about to say, is it really that nice to have you back after all? Because I was worried knowing that you had jumped in the 550. How's it going so far?
Just under starting stack, so pretty lackluster. Great to see Paul Carr on this table. Paul was the massive day 1 chip leader, one of the great characters of Irish poker, and actually bought 1 copy of each of my 3 books a few days ago.
I remember
I'll be totally taking the credit if he wins this.
A few Irish Poker Tour stops ago, he actually inquired with me about coaching, and I told him that I certainly wouldn't be qualified to give him coaching. But I wish I had, because then I could have said that all of his recent form was down to me. Yeah. But he's been playing very well. He's not been afraid to take pots post-flop. He's not been scared to check out of position and let the in-position player do the betting. He's been playing very, very solid.
Yeah, I know a few of the other players. Obviously, Mark McDonald, we all know. Gareth McMahon as well, one of the better young Irish players on the scene.
And Kirkovich in seat 1 we also had on day 1B. He may not be a known name, but he played very, very solid on that day 1, and he's been keeping up with that performance here on this feature table. It's been a very strong performance from all the players involved. But it has been an interesting day. There was an RFID error, and it did look like there was a very exciting hand where Kirkovich flatted 9-2 off out of position.
Okay.
And check call, check raise the river.
Yeah.
Versus Paul Carr's bluff. And it did work. And he actually had Queen 9 suited, which was still a bluff.
Still a bluff.
But just a lot more reasonable than 9-2 off.
Fair enough. Also see Mike Farrelly there, Oily Slick as he's known online. I think he came second in the Irish Open one year.
A very fun and a very stacked main event by the looks of it.
Yeah, this is a very tough table too.
And McMahon with a very reasonable open from the cutoff. Paul Carr could use this ace-5 as a 3-bet. But instead decides to take the ace-5 off out of position from the small blinds. He is playing about 65 big blinds deep with McMahon, but Farrelly not going to be folding the pocket sixes here for 10 big blinds. I expect McMahon to fold, but it's going to be hard for Paul to get away from this one. I think he would be priced in once with McMahon folds. Farrelly shoving sub 10 big blinds. And with the 2 big blinds dead from McMahon once he folds. Ooh. Oh, wow. We actually see a call from McMahon. Paul, of course, going to let this one go.
Yeah, I guess he figures Paul never has a hand there because Paul hasn't 3-bet, so Paul's money is dead.
I think, yeah, that does make ace-5 a much better call, and I think that's a very solid analysis. But Farrelly, of course, in great shape, knowing that Paul has folded the ace-5.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, Mike was actually the chip leader on my table when we came back today, so I guess he's gone backwards since, but he was certainly profiting around the bubble.
And that's a very safe flop for the pocket sixes. An ace or running cards needed for McMahon. Oh, the counterfeit outs on the turn. It's the worst way to go if the jack does come. But a full double for the pocket sixes. I almost thought the jack was going to come. It always feels like such a sweat.
It's such a cruel way to lose.
Bandit Country saying good luck in day 2, Dara. Dara unfortunately bust day 2 of the main event. However, he is playing the €550 Leslie McLean High Roller.
Correct. And if I bust that, I'll be in the Chip Race Mystery Bounty, which has also started.
How does the field look in the High Roller? Does it look like a nice, fun, friendly atmosphere?
Yeah, it's a much bigger field than I thought. I honestly thought that tournament might struggle because of proximity to both the Chip Race Mystery Bounty and the fact that we already had a super high roller. But we're getting up towards 100 runners. So.
Oh wow, that's actually really good for a 550 field, especially in the midst of a big series on a Sunday. But we have Jones here in seat 6, navigated his short stack very, very well, now up over 20 big blinds. And none of these players particularly at risk. 20 big blinds are shortest stacks in seat 5 and seat 6. Expect to see folds round to the cutoff here. Crowley sensibly letting the King 7 offsuit go, and Paul Carr counting out some chips. King 10, a very reasonable open from the button.
Yeah, I also recommend Crowley as one of the better young players on the scene. So this is a very stacked table.
Farrelly looks like he's making a decision here. Lets it go. And Jones with the 5-4 off on the big blind. A very defendable hand to a min raise. It is slightly above min. He is just going to let this one go. Not comfortable playing the 5-4 off from the big blind. Would you have defended that one, Dara? 5-4 offsuit from the big blind versus a button open?
It depends on who the button is.
Paul Carr.
Probably not. Paul is a fairly aggressive player. I think your hand will under-realize because Paul will keep the pressure, but he's also not like indiscriminately aggressive.
Yes.
You basically want somebody to be too much in one way or the other. They're either too passive, so you're going to get to the river a lot when you flop a bad pair, or they're too aggressive, so they will always pay you off when you
do actually
hit something bigger.
Oh, and it looks like we are going to get this redraw. That means we are down to the final 3 tables, I think.
Wow.
I think they're playing 8-handed, so this could be the final 24.
That means Mr. Lappin is still in the mix as well.
And it does, and we are going to get a table redraw. We are going to come back with a new feature table. I'm guessing in a few minutes, once the table redraw has been completed. Paul Carr, of course, still in. David Lappin on one of the outer tables is still in, as we have not heard any bad news from him.
Yeah, David is definitely still in, I can confirm. He said he lost a very annoying hand against Namir, who we saw earlier on the feature table as well, where Namir bet complete air on the flop and hit runner.
Ooh, so I feel like sometimes that's the way I get it when I play live. It's like, I'll see bet flop. Ooh, I pick up equity on this turn. I'm going to start barreling. And then you just hit the 4-outer on the river, get it all in. It's always nice when you're on that side of it. And here we go. All the players racking up their trips, ready to come back. And some of these players we could see once more, they could get redrawn back onto this feature table.
Yeah, it's 1 in 3 basically, with just 3 tables left.
But this was a very stacked feature table, and one that was a privilege being able to commentate, even if only for a short while. Mark McDonald, of course, top class player in Ireland, played an interesting three-bet pot with aces that I wasn't too sure about, but of course I could be very wrong in my analysis. Definitely some interesting spots. But we will be coming back tomorrow with a final table, so you guys can stick with us here today while we play down to our final line of the IPO. But we are going to go on a quick break while that table redraw is done, and we will come back with a brand new feature table. Myself will come back in a few minutes. We will all wish Dara some good luck in the 550. Any parting words, Dara?
No, thank you very much. You keep up the great work, and well, hopefully I won't be back later on.
Yeah, hopefully
but
you're
if
not.
I am, it'll be a good consolation.
Yeah, especially if you've already cashed or something. That would always be nice. All right, guys, we'll catch you in a few minutes.
Players in the PLO tournament, you have less than 3 minutes left in your break. You're welcome to go back to your seats. Players in the eye roller, you immediately start to come back to your seats. 4 minutes down your clock. One more time, player in the eye roller, please start to come back to your seat.
Hello, hello, ladies and gentle bugs. My name is Pred Poker. If you're just joining this stream, we are here with day 2 and the final 3 tables redraw of the €300 main event at the International Poker Open Dublin. And creeping into your screen there is David Lappin. He will be joining us on this feature table alongside Paul Carr, start of day chip leader, and a chip leader earlier on this feature table. Seat 5, Noel McMahon, a player I have played with a few times, and this man likes to get loosey-goosey. He likes to play some pots. Yeah, yeah, let's just leave it at that. Seat 6, of course, we saw him earlier, Gareth McMahon. As Dara said, one of the up-and-coming younger players on the island. Seat 1, Carl Cullen will be coming in here with 1.8 million chips. David Lappin over 1 million chips himself. Kevin Gallagher, seat 3, 600k. Reg Rowan in seat 4, 700,000 chips. Noel McMahon, 1 mil. Gareth McMahon, of course, 1.5 mil. Paul Carr, seat 7, 2 mil. Potentially still our chip leader in this tournament. Day 1 chip leader, potentially day 2 chip leader. Rocking that Irish Poker Tour patch. And Kevin Carragher, seat 8 with 500k. We are on the final 3 tables, ladies and gentlemen. The excitement is high. The buzz in the room is palpable. Wow, what a word, what a saying. I hope you guys enjoy my commentary. If you enjoy the soothing sounds of my voice and you want to watch me play some poker, you guys get to commentate and criticize on my play. You can check me out at twitch.tv/PredPoker. I will even go as far as to put it into the chat. Look at this. Wow. Wow. Look at that. If you guys are listening on YouTube or the International Poker Open website, or even on Facebook, hello, hello. I hope you're all doing well. If you guys want to join in on the conversation, you want to also have your say on the way these guys are playing their hands, head over to twitch.tv/UnibetPoker. And you'll be able to see the action as it's happening, alongside myself and everyone else who is watching along at home. Bandit Country out here supporting Lappin, as I'm sure many of you will be. Pred Poker, that is indeed my name. That is my link in the chat, twitch.tv/PredPoker. You can check me out. Watch me blunder many hands as I play poker. And we have, by the looks of it, a talkative feature table, which is something I always love to see, even if we are down to the final 3 tables of this event. Come on, the boys. David Lappin into the small blind button on seat 1. Here we go, action kicking off on our feature table. There's €39,000 to the winner, but that winner will not be crowned tonight. They will be crowned tomorrow back here on the Unibet Poker Twitch channel, alongside International Poker Open YouTube website and Facebook. We are everywhere for your viewing pleasure. And we are, of course, going to see some early position folds from the boys. Paul Carr, Ace Queen, a lovely hand to pick up here. Making it just over min with the old Ace Queen. Cullen on the button with Queen 8 suited, a hand that he could consider over calling, especially 70 big blinds deep, but instead he thinks better Folds the big blind. Gallagher. Very, very reasonable call, and that's too tight. Gallagher, you can't be folding a hand as strong as Queen 9 to a single raise pre. That is a very exploitable play that these players will pick up on if they realize he's going to defend or fold hands as strong as Queen 9 off in the big blind to a single raise. He's playing over 20 big blinds, and that is a very, very, very tight fold from the big blind with the Queen 9 offsuit. We actually might be final 2 tables. I don't know. Potential that this was a final 2 table redraw. I think it's final 3 tables. I don't know. I'll try and find out for you guys. I should actually know that. But first and foremost, I'm going to change the title on this stream. Status. I actually think I might have been muted for you guys. I don't know. Apologies if I was. I might have been muted for a little bit. I'm guessing you guys can still hear me, right? I don't know. Surely you can hear me. Otherwise, I've been talking to myself for a while. Did you guys hear me talking about Paul, his back-to-back wins? Maybe. I don't know. I hope you did. Good luck, David Lappin. You did? Nice, okay. There was a little microphone mute button on my screen, and I had it muted, and I was like, whoops. Professional streamer, professional commentator right here, guys, for your viewing and listening pleasure. New dealer coming along to our feature table. Oh, you didn't hear anything? I actually might have been muted then. Whoopsie. I think I have managed to have myself muted for maybe the last like 5 minutes. Maybe it made me feel relaxed. It's all good. Everybody makes mistakes. talking alone. I basically am already. I'm staring at a laptop, nobody around me, shoved into the corner of a room, surrounded by big black walls on all sides, with a headset on. I really am alone. But not when I have you guys. Folds round from the early position players. Lappin, gonna have to fold the 10-6. Gallagher, beautiful hand. Ace-5 suited in the hijack. Very standard open here. Rowan, Ace-5 suited in the cutoff. Wow, that's a tight fold. Would have loved to have seen the small non-all-in 3-bet, but McMahon, pocket jacks. Not going to be able to get much action here, but he is going to raise it. I wouldn't be surprised if he made this at least 180. Makes it 160, a wee bit smaller, knowing Gallagher is on that shorter stack. Oh yes, I probably should tell you about Paul. I was telling that Paul is fresh off the back of not one but 2 Irish Poker Tour wins. And they were back to back. He's in amazing form right now, and this would be a great end of the year for him. He is sitting with the chip lead currently at this table, and if I believe that I am to be correct, the chip lead in the tournament, final 3 tables. He's been playing well, he's been running well, and this would be a historic potential back-to-back-to-back tournament run for Paul. He came in at the end of day 1 with the chip lead. The start of day 2, of course, with the chip lead. And I think he's going to manage to just keep on going. He still has the chip lead now, he's been playing well. And Rowan, a lovely hand. Pocket jacks. Folds round to the big blind, Carragher. Pocket 9s. He has sub 20 big blinds. It's very likely that these 9s are going to be going all in. I would be very surprised to see these not go all in pre-flop. And he is all in. Is this person playing the tourney? He is the right. Paul Carr is wearing that Irish Poker Tour patch to the left of our all-in player. He just stood up, but this is going to be not good for Carragher. Rowan asking for a count. A bit of a nit roll. Should just be able to know what his own stack is and knows that jacks are just never a fold in this spot. A little bit of a nit roll here from Rowan. He knows that he's opened jacks off of just over 20 big blinds. Doesn't even look happy to get it in, but this is a fist bump spot for any professional player. They know that jacks is going to be very, very strong. You know that the big blind should be shoving most, if not all, of their pocket pairs. They're going to 3-bet their premiums. Jacks is an amazing spot. And of course, he does make the call. Jacks never not going in there. A little bit of a nit roll. Going to be very happy to see the 9s. Carragher going to feel a little bit hard done by the nit roll from Rowan. But of course, nobody wants to bust in this tournament so deep into the International Poker Open main event. Understandable, the caution from Rowan with his pocket jacks. Still an amazing spot and only 2 outs for Rowan, or for Carragher, and he does get there. Rowan left with pennies. Very unfortunate, just a bad beat. It was a bit of a cooler. The 9s and the jacks always getting in those spots. Carragher stoic as always. He does hit the 2-outer on the river. And Rowan unfortunately left with dust, but can't be folding jacks in that spot. He did make the correct call. And that's a very disheartening river card. You have to feel for the guys this deep into a main event. 807 runners in a live event. You make it down to the final 3 tables. You make it down to the final 24, final 23. To get it in such amazing shape, jacks versus 9s. There's very few hands you'd rather see than a smaller pocket pair when you're holding those pocket jacks. And that is just a very, very unfortunate river card. Left with dust. Left with only a handful of big blinds. Castello asked, what are the next payouts? I will try and find that for you now, but I don't actually have quick access to them myself. I was going to take a photo on my break, and I completely forgot. I think the next payout is 1,330 euros. But that is massively unlucky. Paul Carr, of course, raising ticket from the button there with the ace-9. Lovely hand to pick up. But very unfortunate for Reg Rowan in seat 4. Have to feel for the guy. 300 euro buy in this tournament. Everybody locked up. 1,330 euros. I think the pay jump is to 1540 at 20 places remaining. And the remainder of the payouts I will be able to find at some point. I am doing my best. But my best isn't good enough. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's all good. Money doesn't matter. We're looking for the winner. Rowan's all in. Queen 10. Very nice hand to pick up off of his stack size. He would not like a call. And Lappin, I don't think he's going to fold the King 7 here in the big blind. Going to get a quick count just to confirm that it is only 4 or 5 big blinds, and King High is going to be great enough to call this. Very standard shove with the Queen 10. Lappin having a quick think, but I think he does know that he's going to call here with the King 7. Especially to a shove this size. He does find the call. Lappin ahead. Going to be happy to see that he is ahead here with the King 7. But with a stack this size, you've got to feel for Rowan. Bad end of a bad beat. Can he win with the Queen 10? All in versus King 7. Oh, we saw the Queen, but the King rolls out afterwards. Rowan drawing thin. Needs another Queen or a 10. He doesn't get there. Good game to Rowan. Getting unlucky with the Jacks versus 9s. Can't find it versus the better hand of David Lappin with the King 7. Good for 1,330 euros, 1,330. The first departure of our final 3 tables on this feature table. Very standard shove for only 5 big blinds with the Queen 10. McMahon, 40 big blinds, 8-9 suited under the gun, a little bit too loose to open. I do have history with N McMahon. Played against each other at IPT Galway. Unfortunately, he knocked me out half an hour before the end of day 1. 4 big blinds? Yeah, it was about 5 big blinds. 5 or 6 big blinds. Very, very standard shove. Carragher making it 3x with the ace-5. David just checking his stack size. I'm not a massive fan of this 3x from the cutoff with the ace-5 offsuit. Does find the fold. Gallagher in the big blind now with the King Jack. I think it was the 3x that took David Lappin out of that pot. I don't think he folds pre-flop. Facing a min-raise. Gallagher cannot fold this hand pre-flop. He has to see a flop. This would be definitely too tight. We've seen him make a tight fold. And it does look like he is going to defend. Interesting 3x from Carragher. And that is top pair for Gallagher here. King 10-4 two-tone. Carragher with very little of this, but a very good board for him to continue betting on. Suits the cutoff's range. Does decide to check back. Very unconventional check back from Carragher there on the King 10-4. You are going to be seeing the cutoff's range bet this board versus the big blind, especially at these stack depths. Gallagher instead decides to lead the turn. And he is going to take this pot down with top pair. Oh, smiles as he pulls that pot in. David Lappin still getting involved, still with a good stack, and a fan favourite at this feature table. Paul Carr, of course, going to have a lot of supporters out there. Fresh off his wins, lovely guy, well known around the scene. A lot of known names still playing today, a lot of faces that I've played with throughout my jaunts on the Irish Poker Tour. And Carragher, ace-queen suited, a lovely hand. Very interesting to see if he opens 3x here. Could be a sizing tell if he does only open min. And he does open smaller. He does not go the full 3x this time with the ace-queen. McMahon with a very standard defense, queen 10. So, potential that Carragher is opening these slightly weaker holdings to 3x, using his more premium hands to take a smaller sizing, something that would be very exploitable to the more experienced players. Very surprised to see the ace-queen look so disheartened on this flop. Of course, checking 4-5-3 versus the big blind, going to be very reasonable here with a lot of holdings. McMahon wondering, does he want to start betting? Does he want to get Carragher to fold anything? But rightly so, just goes for the check fold. I would be surprised to see McMahon use this combination as a bluff, and he rightly folds. Carragher takes down the pot. Carragher very stoic in his demeanour, not wanting to give anything away to the other players at the table. Quite the contrast to the jovial, at times, nature of David Lappin and Paul Carr. Normally two guys willing to have a bit of a chat at the table. As you can see, David up and down from the rail, chatting to fellow players, compadres, keeping an eye on the outer tables, just making sure he has a clear understanding of what's going on. A good characteristic. Paul Carr slowing down, admittedly not by choice. And Carragher again with the ace-queen. This time it's not suited, but a very, very, very nice hand. And do we see the open to 65 again? Not quite the full 3x, so there may be some sizing tells here from Carragher. David Lappin 9-10 suited in the cutoff, but Gallagher aces on the button. 28 big blinds. Very reasonable spot to 3-bet. Very reasonable spot to just call versus the early position open. But those do be raising chips. And I think Carragher might just fold this one pre-flop. He just looks him dead in the eyes before putting in the raise too. Both blinds gonna have to fold here. Carragher, ace-queen. 3-bet to 150k. Asking the dealer what the bet is. And I can see a world in which ace-queen offsuit just wants to fold here. If you think you're being under 3-bet, if you think that they're just doing this with the top end of their range, so not including any bluffs, ace-queen off, you're playing out of position. And it would not be the worst fold in the world from Carragher. It does look like he is going to potentially find the call. Calling, of course, is going to be completely okay here with the ace-queen. but I honestly do think that folding here, especially versus the short stack 3-bet, isn't going to be unreasonable with a hand like ace-queen offsuit, calling with your suited combinations, something with a little bit more post-flop playability, but I do not think that this is a mistake. I think this is a very reasonable hand to see a flop with from Carragher, playing it out of position. And he is going to be able to get away from this one. Only has the queen of spades, doesn't flop a pair. Gallagher going to have a density. Ace king, pocket kings, aces kings. I would like to see a very small sizing here. No more than 100k would be nice from the imposition player. Goes for 135k, I think that's still reasonable. One thing to size down on these boards in a 3-bet pot. And Carragher, 100% of the time, should be folding this flop. But this is kind of the reason, like ace-queen suited is going to have a lot more playability than the ace-queen offsuit. Especially if you think that your opponent isn't raising you, isn't 3-betting you pre-flop light enough, or they're not including any bluffs. If you think about their range, are they going to do it with ace-jack? Are they going to do it with ace-x that you dominate? Or is it only going to be ace-queen, ace-king, aces, kings, queens hands that you're very per shape against? Of course, you have equity versus jacks, of course you have equity versus tens, but those hands are going to play quite cautiously off a short stack. When an overcard comes on the board, they're not going to want to get all the chips in. So it is very hard to realize your equity with a hand like ace-queen offsuit. And it's not like that was a 3-bet from cutoff versus button. That was a 3-bet from the button, the best position on the table, versus an early position open, the tightest range on the table. Less incentivized to 3-bet. You get to see a flop in position from the button. You may not be closing the action, but you're going to have, and people will find less 3-bets from that position. Which does sort of slowly add up to maybe just considering the ace-queen offsuit isn't really so much of a call. You'd almost rather have hands like 9-10 suited, Jack-10 suited, than the ace-queen offsuit. You're going to be dominated less often versus their 3-betting range. You're going to have equity versus a lot of their hands. Calling with the aces there, of course, would be reasonable. 3-betting with the aces also not unreasonable. Personally, I think I would have called quite frequently on the button versus the early position open. But 3-betting is completely okay. Lapping over 1 million chips, 1.3 million. In a great spot in this IPO main event. Going to be taking in a lot of information about his fellow players. Paul Carr in the small blind, 8-9. I would like to see a raise here, blind v blind. Oh, sorry, the button was opened by McMahon with 9-7. I did miss that action. And it's going to be a raise and take it. Nice open from McMahon there. Gallagher, very reasonable open here. Ace-2 suited from early position. Does raise to 65k. Fold round to the small blind. Carragher going to get out of the way here. Cullen in the big blind with 9-7 offsuit. Definitely defendable hand, but he does just let it go. It's not the worst trimming off the sort of bottom of those ranges, but 9-7 offsuit's a pretty decent hand. Big blind versus early position. Unlikely to be dominated often. Of course you want suited playability a lot of the time, but 9-7's a pretty reasonable hand. Don't think I would have folded that one there, but who knows, maybe I'm just a little bit too loose in my big blind defense. Yeah, 9-7 offsuit, a pure call, big blind versus low jack at 40 big blinds effective. That was one position earlier than the low jack. Playing 8-handed, well 7-handed at this table now. So it actually was the low jack. So 9-7 off is going to be a pure defend off his stack size. Yes, the early position player was opening off a slightly shorter stack size. I'll have a check and see if that does define the range any differently. I'll make it 22 bigs, 25 bigs. Big blind versus low jack. And the big blind is still defending 9-7 pure. It actually brings in 10-7, and it also brings in 9-6 off pure. So definitely a misdefend from the big blind there with the 9-7. Something that I did think was the case, but I just wanted to make sure I could check that. David Lappin calling here with second pair versus Paul Carr's top pair, top kicker. Paul Carr checking back flop with ace king. This may suck in David Lappin into a potential hero call with second pair. Wondering why has Paul checked back flop? Why has he bet so small? Well, half pot on the river. I can see quite a considerable world in which Lappin is going to find the call here with the queen 8, with the second pair. A very unconventional check back on the flop from the ace king, but it looks like he's going to find a potential fold here, and it would be a great fold in this position. Paul Carr with a very interesting line, and wow, what a great fold from Lappin. He somehow makes that one. He finds it out. Maybe he had a read, maybe he's seen Paul do things like this before with top pair. But after that check flop, that is a very, very good fold from David Lappin on the river. Paul with some dynamic sizings. And there are your chip counts. Look at that, Paul Carr, 2.5 million chips. Start of day chip leader, and is currently our chip leader here in the International Poker Open. Fan favourite David Lappin, 1.1 million chips. Cullen doing well, same with G McMahon, both nearing that 2 million chip mark. With 3 sub 1 million chip stacks, but still in very, very good shape. It is the Maltese flag. Lappin is an Irish born player, but he is a Maltese citizen as far as I'm aware. He does reside in Malta. Don't call him Lappin fan favourite, we're anti-sweating him. I'll have to tell him. If he busts, it's because Twitch chat were anti-sweating. Alright, if you guys all promise to go follow my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/predpoker, I, alongside Twitch chat, will anti-sweat David Lappin. McMahon, very reasonable. Opening up the 10-8 suited from the low jack off of about 70 big blinds. McMahon, very reasonable c-bet here versus the hijack flat on queen 3-3. Paul not going to be going anywhere with the pocket twos. But it does look like he's actually... Oh, he's going to flick in a call. Really nice turn card for Paul Carr with his pocket twos. I wouldn't be surprised to see a triple barrel here from McMahon with the 10-8. He is nearing the bottom of his range. He is essentially at the bottom of his range, and you want to bluff from the bottom up. He's also picked up the backdoor diamonds, and I am a big, big fan of this double barrel. Paul laughs, and he just lets go with the best hand. A nice turn bet from McMahon. It makes a lot of sense. Picks up equity, Still playing the bottom of his range. And I think we would have seen a triple barrel had the diamonds missed. Had a 10 or an 8 not come onto the river card. Some very good play from the young Irishman here in this IPO main event. Very nice open with the 10-8 suited. This one's going to fold round to Cullen in the cutoff, who has woken up with a monster. Ace, Queen of Hearts. David Lappin 70 off on the button, not going to be getting involved here. $70 big blinds effective for Colin McMahon with the ace deuce in the big blind. One of the combinations you can use the odd time. Whoa! He just folds. That is definitely on the tighter side here from McMahon. The other one. McMahon 1. Which one is McMahon 1 and which one is McMahon 2? Yeah, the big blind shouldn't be folding ace-2 there. Should even be mixing it in as a 3-bet sometimes, which is what I thought off of that stack size. Preferring ace-4 off, preferring ace-5 off, but ace-2 off, going to be mixed in. Just definitely not a fold, a little bit loose. McMahon though, lovely hand here, ace-king. Gallagher with the pocket queens. It looks like this might be a spot that just goes all in pre-flop. He has 30 big blinds in ace-king. He has ace-king offsuit as well. I think the 3-bet shove potentially better than the non-all-in sizing. I would rather take the non-all-in sizing here with ace-king suited. I don't mind just shoving 30 big blinds with ace-king offsuit from the small blind versus this button open. It allows you to do it with hands like queen-jack off. And Gallagher going to be putting the chips in with queens, and McMahon not going to be folding this ace-king. And it looks like it's going to be a classic race. McMahon in the big blind, we can see, was holding one of and McMahon's outs. But queens should just be getting the money in here. Is he 4-betting to a non-all-in sizing? He is. I don't really like this. I don't think you have any 4-bets that you can bluff with here. From Gallagher, of course the money's going to go in, but I just don't think you can 4-bet off of 30 big blinds effective. The SPR is just going to be way too low on any flop that gets called. The hands should just be going on their backs. 4-betting is going to come in closer to sort of 60 big blinds, 50 big blinds. Sub 40 and definitely at 30 big blinds effective. 4-betting going to be a little bit weird, but that is a king-high flop. Gallagher needs a queen, needs a 10. Or we lose a player. And I think Gallagher is just covered here. Queen's losing the race. Ace-king coming out on top. Even though an ace was folded, the queens get punished. And Gallagher, I think he knows he's done for. We do lose another player. I think Gallagher also now getting paid out 1,330 euros. Maybe he's got a pay jump. That I'm not too sure. Or does he have... Oh, that's heartbreaking. He has like 10k behind. He doesn't even have an ante behind. I think he has one small blind behind. Oh, Gallagher. He does. It looks like Paul is getting moved off this table. The next payout is 1,540 euros. Lappin having a wee conversation here with his fellow table mates. Looks like we are going to be playing six-handed on this table, but I doubt it's going to be for long. All right, so Gallagher, chip in a chair is something that's commonly denoted to someone with a stack like this. There's a very reasonable chance that that's what he's going to be saying to himself right now. If anyone can do it, why not me? One small blind in Gallagher's hand. And King 4, it's gonna be a push in my opinion. All in for 20,000 chips. And the small blind wakes up with the premium ace queen. Probably gonna put in a small raise here. Probably gonna make it around 90,000, I would guess. Makes it 120,000, does size up a little. Knows that he will be playing out of position to the big blind if he comes along, but the big blind is also only playing 24 big blinds effective. King 4, it has outs. It's a very live hand versus ace queen of diamonds. Gallagher, chip and a chair. I'm rooting for him a little here. And that's a lot more outs. 7 outs picked up now. Kings, 4s and 3s. 3s, of course, make a straight. Jack of diamonds cutting those outs in half. As the backdoor flush draw comes in for McMahon. And that is top pair for McMahon. That is Gallagher exiting the tournament. Cashing for a not so modest sum of 1,540 euros. In for 300. A reasonable payday for 2 days' work. And that means we are nearing our final 2 tables. We have 17 players remaining. And then we may have a redraw. We will have a redraw for our final 2 tables. I don't even know why I said may. We just will. It will occur. But Paul Carr, still our tournament chip leader, still on amazing form. To my knowledge, the only stack above 2 million chips. Notable names still in, and of course you can see him on your screen. David Lappin, Ilan Kirkovic, All still here. Namir Muhammad, the man who Dara O'Kearney had some kind words to say about, is also still in the tournament. Alexandrois Fime is still in, another one of our multiple feature tablers. However, we have unfortunately said goodbye to Mark McDonnell. He busted just before Kevin Gallagher in 19th place. The same, obviously we saw Jones Winston going before on the other table. 17 players remain. And they are Kenneth Crowley, Finbar Fitzgerald, Alexander Fime, Danny Veregi? Sorry if I butchered your name, sir. Alexander De Decker, Stephen Gostel, Namir Mohammed, Jan-Peter Nickel, Aaron Harding, Kevin Carragher, Stephen Frew, Elan Kirkovich, Noel McMahon, David Lappin. Noel McMahon, David Lappin. Gareth McMahon, Carl Cullen, and Paul Carr, your current tournament chip leader. We have a little bit of post-flop action. Cullen defending his big blind with King 3. Does manage to hold on here in the big blind. Could go for some very thin value with the King 3, but it is going to go to showdown. And we are one bust away from a final two-table redraw, ladies and gentlemen. There is a pay jump on this next bust. The next bust will receive 1,740 euros. Ace-6 suited from McMahon. Not an unreasonable open from the cutoff here. Towards the bottom of your range, but definitely a hand that's going to slide its way in. Carragher, 22 big blinds and Ace-9 suited. I would like to see a call here on the button. I think a 3-bet would be a little bit out of line. An all-in would be not amazing either. Calling in position. Keep in the dominated Ace-X. Keep in the dominated flush draws. And we do see the call. David Lappin will take this one multi-way with the King 10 offsuit in the big blind. No messing about. Knows what he needs to do. Gets those chips in. No stalling for the big man. But we do not want to see David Lappin win this hand. We on the stream are anti-sweating David Lappin. And it's top pair for Carragher calling in position. It is second pair in a backdoor flush draw with a backdoor straight draw for McMahon. Carragher should fire out a bet on this board. Something in the midst of 80,000 would be nice to see. 70, 80,000 would be my preference. So we see about a 90,000, very reasonable here from Carragher. McMahon, not going to be folding just yet. Second pair, backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. A lot of equity can be realized on turns for him. Even though he is out of position, I do think this is a spot he is going to want to continue. And that is exactly what we do see. Very bricky turn. Carragher, I would love to see put in just shy of a half pot bet. Setting up for that river shove with top. Would be nice to see him put 200k in. And as he goes to move the chips in, McMahon understands and he just marks. Carragher kind of gives him the side eye, which I think was a little bit unreasonable. I don't know if that was intentional from Carragher, but McMahon, wanting to keep the game quick, wanting to keep the pace of play fast, understands that there's no reads, there's no levels to be had there by him folding quickly. Of course he's going to have hands that continue once and fold on the turn. And for a while I was very confused, but that is a lollipop behind the ear of McMahon number 1 or number 2, depending on your preference. David Lappin been quite quiet at this feature table, but admittedly hasn't picked up too many hands. As these 5 players look for their table to get filled up. When we get the final 2 tables redraw, we will get that redraw at 16 players, and then we will have to leave 7 players removed. Once that happens, we will have our final table for tomorrow. We will have our winner crowned tomorrow. But for now, the play will continue. Lappin, very reasonable continue here in the small blind. 8-5 off, pretty reasonable check back from McMahon. And Lappin eats up this flop with glee. 7-7-3. I think Lappin can definitely go for some check raises here. He can definitely bet 1 big blind here. Both options going to be very reasonable. And this is the kind of board where McMahon, I was going to say, can continue quite often. A lot of good turn cards. Lappin shows the 7. Carragher with the queen 3, gonna let this one go from under the gun. Don't know what he's thinking about. Maybe queen 3 is his favourite hand. Maybe he just hadn't looked at his hand yet. But it's nice to see Colin Lappin making sure they keep the pace of this game quite quick. Same with McMahon number 1 or number 2, depending on which one you want him to be. And a very reasonable open here from Lappin. Queen 9 offsuit going to be one of those hands that is beautifully making its way into your open raising range. And a blind steal goes towards Lappin. Lappin picking up a couple of chips here, remaining over that 1 million chips mark, playing a 40 big blind stack. Seat 1 looking very relaxed, sitting almost mirrored to how I'm sitting right now, leaning back in the chair, relaxing out, enjoying some poker, and grateful to be able to give you guys some commentary, some hand analysis from these guys. Lappin, unknown to us what his hands are. Seat 2 does seem to have a couple of problems with recording the cards throughout today. As you can see, Lappin does clearly have them in the box, and he is going to get another steal through with an unknown hand. And I guess, spoiler alert, anyone who listens to chess, watches chess, consumes chess content, but does not know the result of the recent chess tournaments, close your ears for the next 10 seconds. I'll give you 3 seconds to do so. 3, 2, 1. All right, Magnus Carlsen is no longer. Hikaru, the one and only Twitch master, is a world champion. Ta-da! There you go. Ace king. 3 betting. Aces. Oh, this could spell disaster for McMahon. And McMahon could win the hand. And I'm going to tell you guys something. In one way or another, McMahon is going to take this one down. McMahon could win. McMahon could lose. I would like to see this 4-bet come in around 250 to 300,000. Sorry, closer to 400,000. Instead, does go for the half a milli. Also very reasonable. Very, very reasonable sizing. Actually, I prefer the sizing to my sizings because I am a fish. Lappin gonna fold the 4s, going, ugh. I wanted to set mine, guys. Come on. That's just plain rude. He's looking at the clock like, 4s is a pretty good hand. But he's just going to be folding this one. Maybe he wants the other guys to sweat a little. I don't know. Lappin with the fake aces. McMahon with the real aces. McMahon also with ace king. It is McMahon central. David Lappin going to be folding these pocket 4s. Just a little bit of Hollywooding coming in from the man. Just going to make sure he doesn't have pocket aces. He goes, oh, I have 4s. I don't have aces. What am I thinking about? And McMahon is looking at McMahon's stack. McMahon is also looking stoic. Both McMahons doing McMahon things. I wouldn't be surprised to see McMahon go all in. McMahon would of course call, and McMahon would lose, and McMahon would win. Both McMahons could also win. There's always a chance that that occurs. But for 50 big blinds, McMahon should put in his hand. McMahon in thought. I'm having way too much fun with the fact that these guys are called McMahon. But I would expect to see a 5-bet shove from McMahon. And I don't think McMahon will fold. This would be a sick fold. Even sicker if he just calls the 4-bet. With the ace king and tries to play it out of position. Ace king offsuit. Not a hand you want to play out of position too often, even though it is strong. Ace king suited would be a much nicer candidate. Wow! Wow, 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 wow. What a fold from McMahon. He dodges it somehow. I can't believe he just found the fold with ace king off those stack depths. That is very impressive. Whether or not he had a live tell, whether or not he had a read. But he folds the ace king to the cold 4-bet, understanding that it's very unlikely to be ace queen. The only cold 4-bet that he's going to come in with there, that he's ahead of, is the ace 5 suited, potentially the ace 4 suited. Knows he's flipping versus queens, knows he's flipping versus jacks. But Lappin could have folded those outs. Those outs could have been folded around the table. Not something to consider too hard, but all of these things are going to factor into your thought process, and that is a huge fold with ace king. He's going to be very relieved. McMahon relieved. McMahon distraught that the chips didn't get in. Okay, I'm going to stop that. Oh, very good fold from the ace king. I don't know if I would have found it. I think I would have been all in the middle. Very impressive. Just manages to dodge it. Lapping in the big blind. Lets it go. Wee smile on his face. You always know Lappin's feeling good about his game. Was it a 3-bet fold? Yeah, he 3-betted. So when Lappin opened from the cutoff, I think it was. No, Lappin opened from the button. The small blind 3-bet. Ace King. The big blind 4-bet. Pocket aces. They were playing 60 big blinds effective. He actually 3-bet folded the Ace King. To the 4-bet. Didn't want to call out of position. Didn't want to play it all in. But that was a pretty crazy fold from McMahon. Off of 55 big blinds. Very, very good fold. Very impressive fold. He is king, and I have to give him credit. His tournament life has remained because he made that fold. He decided to pass on the edge, and I think he has just told him that he had ace king. And they just said, you would have got there. Imagine I just had 10-9 suited. Fantastic fold from McMahon. I'm very impressed that he found that fold. Just didn't believe that the big blind was going to find enough cold 4-bets that he was ahead of. Wasn't willing to put his tournament life on a potential coin flip. Just a very impressive fold all round. McMahon and Colin battling it out. Colin being very quiet in this final 3-table situation. Almost looks asleep there in seat 1 with his eyes looking down towards his chip stack. Colin with a very reasonable c-bet here. Bottom 2. Lovely sizing. Action continuing as we do try and find our way down here to the final 2 tables of the International Poker Open. Play does play down to a final table today. Even though we are 6-handed, or 5-handed, sorry, on this feature table, it almost feels like play is slowing down. Cullen, very reasonable open here, just shy of 2 million chips, King Jack of diamonds. Some beautiful deep stack play. Have to give credit to the organisers. It's been a great structure, this main event. Lots of deep stacks at these final 3, potentially final 2 tables momentarily. You've got to think it's going to be soon. They've been on this final 2-table bubble for quite a while. McMahon not bloating the pot, just calling here with pocket 8. It's a very reasonable spot. Queen 6-3. Very likely we're going to see a c-bet from Cullen. And a call from McMahon, but a check back. If you're going to choose a combination to check back, I like using a hand like King Jack of diamonds. You do have the backdoor equity. You can turn a backdoor flush, you can turn straight draws. You still have an overcard to the board. McMahon blocks the turn. And could quite comfortably block river as well. Betting for value once both flush draws miss, but I almost prefer Well, I was going to say I prefer to use 8s as a bluff catcher, but I really like this value bet with the pocket 8s. Does get called by the king high. I was going to say I prefer a bluff catcher with pocket 8s, but I actually... Oh, it was pocket jacks, not king jack. So an RFID issue there, and that makes a lot more sense with the flop check back on queen 6-3. And a very well navigated hand from our player in seat 6. He may have lost it with his pocket 8s, but I thought that was very well played. I was like, why are the chips going towards Cullen? But it's because he had pocket jacks. And here we go, final 2 table redraw. Woohoo! Let's go. All right. We are down to the final 16 of the IPO main event. We are playing down to a final table this evening. You're joined by myself, Pred Poker, Tom Parsons, professional poker player, apparently, sometimes. And for this weekend, and your listening pleasure, the commentator of the Irish Poker International Poker Open. We had coverage of Day 1B on Friday. We had coverage of the Day 2 Super High Roller yesterday, won by Wilson. And today we are playing down for a final table in this main event. 39,000 euros for the winner. And a good bit of crack to come with it. I'm going to take a quick break while this redraw happens. Grab myself some fresh water. And I will be back in just a moment. I hope you guys are enjoying the commentary. I hope you're having a great time. I am. It's been very fun. I'll catch you guys in just a few quick moments when we come back with our final feature table for the evening. 16 players playing down to 9.
Mainland players, your new SIG draw is on the street. If you are on table enter 3, please go to the feature table.
It is I, your favorite commentator. It may be because I'm your only commentator, but I'm absolutely your favorite commentator for the IPO. And here is our final feature table, at least to my knowledge, of the day. We have 16 players from a field of 803 coming back into the International Poker Open. Main event, €300 buy-in, 39,000 dingo dollars up top. I was playing against this player in seat 3, either last night or the night before. I don't really remember. But it's good to see him making this final two-table situation. Lots of new faces for the day coming into this final two feature table. Final two tables feature table. Bit of a mouthful. I can get you their names and their seat positions. Not only that, I can do one better. I can get you their chip counts as we play down to our final 9. Seat 1, we've seen him. He's been playing well. Gareth McMahon, one of them. But we haven't lost the other one. Noel McMahon in seat 5. Seat 2, and I am so sorry that I'm going to butcher your surname. Danny Verheij. He's from the Netherlands. Verheij. Aha, I have an idea. You guys are going to hate me for this. England. Bear with me. Alright, alright, alright. Verheij. Yeah, Google Translate coming to the rescue. Okay, seat 2, Danny Verheij. Seat 3, Alexander Dudecker, our new chip leader by the looks of it. 3.2 million chips for another man from the Netherlands, the guy who I played against either yesterday or the night before. My memory is hazy. I don't quite remember. Danny Verheij in seat 2 has 1 million chips. Seat 4, Carl Cullen. We just had him on our earlier feature. 2 million chips. Noel McMahon, 1.2 million. Somehow in this tournament, after managing to fold ace king pre-flop to a 4-bet from his McMahon counterpart. Seat 6, Stephen Gostl, G-O-S-T-L, Gostl. Yeah, let's go with Gostl. A very short stack, 225k, accompanied by another short stack, Aaron Harding, 270k chips. And Stephen Frew, who we thought might frew away his chips. But with the RFID errors, maybe he actually wasn't playing those crazy hands. You never know. Maybe he's been playing very solid. Stephen Frew, 1.7 million chips, taking up this final two-table situation. This is an exciting moment for me. I'm sure it's an exciting moment for you guys as well. We are going to know who our final 9 are within the next few hours. If you guys are watching on Unibet Poker, say hi in the chat. I'd love to know who's watching. If you're watching on YouTube, watching this content back, apologies if I butcher your names, but my name is Pred Poker. I play poker full time. You can check me out on twitch.tv/Pred Poker. And I will be with you for this International Poker Open commentary. And I have been for the last few days, but just in case you guys were not about during that time. It is good to see a chip count for Paul Carr. I can get that for you. I can get his live chip count. I don't know whether you want that though, because that could be a spoiler. I think he was still about 2 mil, right? Well, he just left. He actually just left the table. They just want to break. Yeah, he's still got about 2 million. I think. Taff, I think. I could be so wrong though. I can't get you the payouts because I'm a nice guy. 16th place pays 1,740. 15th and 14th pay the same, $1,950. We break the 2K mark at 13th and 12th, getting 2,150 euros. And the final two bust outs before the final table will both earn themselves a cool 2,500 euros. Final table payouts, you'll know them tomorrow. All that matters is first place has 39,000 euros. But Paul Carr still chilling around that 2,000 chip mark as we thought. Very, very exciting final two table situation here. Our outer table characterized by players such as Namir Mohammed. Fime is still in, Alessandro Fime. Finbar Fitzgerald, a player we haven't seen yet, is still in. Jan Peter Nickel, we have not seen. He is also on an outer table. Ilan Kirkovic, still sticking around. David Lappin, the man. Like a bad cold, you can't get rid of him. Still on our outer table here. And the rest of the boys you can see on your screen, as well as Paul Carr, start of day chip leader, maintaining a big stack on that outer table. We're going to get stuck in, we're going to get involved. It's all going to kick off as we play our way down to our final 9 players. And I hope you guys enjoy it with me. Looks like the dealers are getting ready to deal. The final 2 tables are set up. The final 9 are what we're going to play down to. 2 Dutch on this table. Plenty of Irish. And Stephen Frew from the UK. It does mean we might get a nice diverse final table, as there is also a Belgian and a Frenchman remaining in the field. It's always nice to see a couple of nationalities represented at these Irish events, known for their great community feel. Known for their welcoming aspect. All right, let's get it off. And Verhey, Ace King, a great hand to pick up at the start of. Look at it, look at him, look at that wee smile. Looks at the rail, like, here lads, look, I've got Ace King. Beautiful hand to raise from early position. 8-handed for the first time in a while on our feature table. How long will it last with these 2 short stacks? Gostel, King 7, sub 10 big blinds. The player to his right in the small blind, also playing sub 10 big blinds. Harding, through Queen 4 off, not going to be defending this one. And a raise and take it from Verhey with the Ace King. Probably would have liked a little bit of action. But a beautiful hand to start off his final 2 table run. The final 2 tables, guys, a little bit of strategy for you. You're definitely going to be wanting to pick up some pots. You're going to want to try and build that stack for the final table. If you can get onto that final table with a bigger stack, it does allow you to apply ICM pressure to those middling stacks. Short stacks, you want to get some chips. You want to make sure you're going to be entering that final table with a chance to make a run for it. Final 2 tables characterized by a lot of players. They're going to make some moves. We're going to get some action. Not a time to rest on your laurels. This is a time where you want to be building up chip stacks. I can't remember if it was. I may misquote him. But I do think the head coach of Raise Your Edge, Benjamin Rola, said that you should be bubbling more final 2 tables, or bubbling the final table more than you should be making the final table, because of the way you want to play. You want to play aggressive, you want to build up those chips. And Ace King for the button. Harding, a very short stack, sub 10 big blinds. He is going to be all in. And Cullen, I think he's going to be priced in with the Queen Jack here. When someone shoves 10 big blinds, it's going to be very hard to find a fold. You're usually going to have the equity that calls, but I think bottom of his range. He does kind of know it himself, and he's kind of holding the chips. He knows Queen Jack's not a great hand, but when it's sub 10 big blinds, you got to make the call, and he does. And he says gamble, gamble, but I do think this is the correct call with Queen Jack. When people shove for sub 10 big blinds, you very often have the price to call. Cullen says Queen on the river. And that's a really nice flop for the Queen Jack. No suits to help out, but a gut shot. And there's the Jack on the turn. Ace King needing a lot of help. Harding could be our first elimination early on this feature table if we do not find an ace or a king. And we don't. Good game. Unlucky to Harding. Gets it in for sub 10. Joins the feature table and unfortunately departs just as quickly. Very reasonable call from Cullen with the Queen Jack there. They are now on a pay jump. But a very quick departure from Aaron Harding. Getting 1,950. The next payout. Oh, sorry, no, never mind. No pay jump. No pay jump. Oh, and we have also lost Namir Mohammed on one of the outer tables. He actually busted in 16th for 1,740 euros. Aaron Harding out in 15th. 1,950, so he did actually make the pay jump. Our next bust will also get 1,915. Stephen Frew, a very reasonable hand to open from the button, King 9 suited. Fairhay in the big line with 5-3 off. Makes the correct and comfortable decision of just folding that one. Table technician coming over just to make sure they don't pull any wires out of the table. From under the rail, but I'm sure that'll be sorted for tomorrow. No dramas at all, no dramas. McMahon with a very standard open here. King Jack from early position. Playing that 40 big blind stack. And it's going to be a raise and take it for Noel, who did manage to survive earlier. Making a very good fold with Ace King facing a 4-bet. A fold that a lot of people, including myself, might not have made. But he worked it out. And he saved his tournament life. And a great hand to shove. Gostel, Queen Jack suited. To Decker, Ace-6 suited in the small blind. A very reasonable call. To a 7 big blind all in. And he just instantly reaches for the chips. He knows that he can make this call with Ace-6. Excuse me. Very reasonable call here for De Decker with the Ace-6 suited. Apologies if I blew your guys' ears out clearing my throat. I meant to mute the mic, but I actually might have had the mic muted already. But Gossel, very reasonable shove if I was muted with the Queen Jack suited here. 7 big blinds. It's a pretty nice hand to shove for 7 big blinds, if I'm honest. And the Ace-6 suited, a very reasonable call from De Decker. Fantastic flop for Queen Jack. Giving them a couple more outs here. Oi! drills the nuts on the turn, but a spade on the river would have sealed it. But that is a full double for Gostel. Nice hand up to what, 15 bigs? No, more. 16 bigs, 17 bigs. Sheesh. Go on, son. Beautiful turn card. Always a sweat, though. Always a sweat. All right. Action on this final two tables scenario. Oh, I should probably update the title of the stream. Any good person would do that. Status. Final two tables. €300 IPO main event. €39,000 for first. Very poorly formatted, but I'm on a keyboard that is not. Aha! I see where the Euro button is, but that is not. That is not where the button is on a normal keyboard for me. So. Oh, whoops. Haha, I misclicked. You know what? That'll do. I'll take the E off the end. I'll take the E off the end, but it'll just have to do for now. If there's any mods currently watching on the Twitch chat, I would love it if you could make this title look a little bit prettier. Ace Jack suited for Verhey. Lovely hand. Gonna open this one up from the hijack. And this one, gonna see a defend here from the ace-8 offsuit. I think shoving would be an option as well. Queen 6-6 rainbow. Verhey would like to see him put in like a one big blind bet here. Just check in 30k. Let's actually make it slightly bigger. I don't know how much of a fan I am of him making this. Well, 45. It's closer to a third. It's definitely very reasonable. But look at Gostel's stack. There's going to be no difference in EV between betting one big blind and sizing up slightly there. And you might actually get worse hands to continue with your one big blind bet. And it does just mean that all the parts of your range are going to be that little bit cheaper. Definitely would have preferred to see one big blind, but I mean, it's not a massive difference betting 1.5 big blinds there. But it's just these small things, these small little things that you can look out for, and you will see sort of solvers and sims doing. Just because the solvers do it doesn't necessarily mean it is the best option. But I would have loved to have just seen the one big blind bet there. Also, for those who care, the League of Legends World Championships final is on right now, and I wonder how it's going. Oh wait, I think they're actually playing. They're playing DRX versus Gen G. I think this is like the third place. Oh no, this is to get into the final versus T1. Wait, did DRX win 3-2? I don't know. Any League of Legends fan here's any League of Legends fans here? Any elite gamers like myself? Ooh, Fru, bottom pair. King Jack for the decker though. Not an unreasonable c-bet. There's also c-bet half pot. I do prefer this on a board like this versus the big blind. Hopefully T1 wins after the long break. Faker is still the GOAT. Yeah, I agree. Faker's the GOAT. Said Rich, he's doing everything he can to kick us out of the stream. Ooh, League of Legends. Did DRX win the semi-final? DRX versus Gen G. Oh no, Gen G are one game up. And chess? I play chess too. Oh, did Fru go for the cheeky check raise with the 10-5 there? Gangster. Oh, lol chess equals TFT. Oh, you're saying lol, comma, chess. Oh, yeah, TFT, great game.
Once again, ruining the club with that suitcase here by mistake. If anybody has stepped up for it, man, and you're unable to bring the suitcase, please let us know.
Oh, very. Sevens. Lovely little hand here from 40 big blinds under the gun. 60 of your finest chips. Well, 60,000 of your finest chips. Kind of crazy to think one big blind is the same as the starting stack in this tournament. 30,000 chips. McMahon, ace king. He got in trouble with this hand before. But I think this time he's going to 3-bet, and Verhey might just fold the sevens. 40 big blinds effective. Going to be a little bit harder to set mine. You are against a more condensed range here. McMahon does find the 3-bet. 180,000 would be lovely, and that's exactly what we see. Lots of reasonable holdings, of course, having to fold now. And it's whether or not we see the set mine. Sevens can very comfortably fold in this spot. I think 4-bet jamming is out of the question, so it's whether or not you want to see a flop with the sevens or whether or not you want to fold. Just wants to check how much McMahon is playing. They are both playing roughly 40 big blinds effective. And I think if they were a little bit deeper, 50 to 60 big blinds, sevens definitely can come in here with a call and set mine. But I think that's a very good disciplined fold here from Verhey on this final two-table situation. Nice fold, sir, nice fold. It wouldn't have been unreasonable to continue with the sevens, but I do prefer the fold. And there you have the chip counts. De Decker chip leading this table. Cullen second in chips. Been playing very well, very solid. Didn't get to see too much of him earlier on, but clearly had been impressive, building up a lovely stack. Frew, of course, doing well, and Gostel, even with that double, still the table short stack by quite a long way. Verhey still has over 30 big blinds. We're going to be in for a pretty reasonable amount of play to get down to this final table. I'd say at least another hour, as it does near 11 p.m. on this Saturday evening, or Sunday evening, I should say. Gostel, very easy jam with the King-Jack suited, and I think Frew has a pretty comfortable rejam as well with King-Queen of Hearts. This would be quite a tight fold. He can call here, he can rejam. I think both options are very reasonable. With the King-Queen. Wow, that's a tight fold. That is a tight fold from Frew. Got to think about the range that Gossel's going to be shoving here, and King-Queen suited's dominating a lot of it. And even if you're flipping against a lot of those hands, I'm surprised to see that one fold. It's going to be a very profitable spot with King-Queen of Hearts. And even if he's shoving, like he is going to be shoving, you know, ace-6, ace-7, ace-8, ace-9 off, ace-10. King-Queen suited has a ton of equity versus those hands. And you're also dominating a pretty hefty portion of his range. King-10, King-Jack, chopping against King-Queen. He's also got Queen-Jack, Queen-10, Jack-10, 10-9 suited. Hands that King-Queen is doing very well against. And I am surprised to see King-Queen suited fold. King-Queen offsuit, definitely a very solid contender for just letting it go, but King-Queen suited just has that little bit more equity. McMahon, pocket tens. A very legitimate hand to see on the button. And our Dutch friend in the big blind, De Decker, with a very, very simple defend. Queen deuce of diamonds. We're going to take this one post flop. De Decker, a 2-1 dog. Wow, and he flops the world. Third nut flush draw. Gut shot. And an overcard to the board. McMahon comfortably c-betting the tens with a club. I think having the club here does make c-betting this hand a little bit better, but I also don't mind to see a check back occasionally with pretty much this specific holding. The call is found by De Decker, not looking to bloat this pot with his queen high flush draw. Decker checks the turn, and does McMahon double barrel with pocket tens and a club? I think now that he's holding a club, the double barrel doesn't seem as appealing. I don't mind just pot controlling here. But McMahon decides against it. He actually goes for what looks like the overbet. If not, it was close to pot. 120, 180. Yeah, he goes for the slight overbet here with the pocket tens and a club. Interesting choice. I don't think this is the kind of hand that you're going to want to do this with. I don't think this is the combination that should get used. I could be completely wrong, but I don't think tens is going to want to overbet this turn. Slash bet so big. I think it's a very reasonable holding to check back with. And the club on the river, not good for McMahon. I don't think we see De Decker leading when the board pairs. I expect this to go check-check. Does block. Oh no, goes all in. McMahon, of course, just going to fold tens. I don't really agree with McMahon's sizing here on the turn with tens. Doesn't look happy though. Maybe it was an RFID error. Maybe he had queen 10. That would make a lot more sense than pocket tens, but a very interesting turn sizing. McMahon hasn't really gotten out of line, and I just don't think that tens is going to be used as a big bet slash overbet on that turn, setting up for the river shove. He's going to have so many different hands that do it, and queen and tens, especially with a club, just does not feel like one of those hands that uses that sizing. I'm a little bit confused by that one. I'm also not a fan of the river lead with the queen high flush. Only ever getting called by better hands. Don't allow your opponent to continue bluffing. Feels like a very unnecessary river shove from the big blind, from our Dutch friend. I just think it was a little bit out of line. McMahon doesn't end up firing. Gostel opens it up with the king queen, and McMahon ace king. All in is very reasonable here. A 3-bet is also very reasonable. I do prefer the non-all in sizing. I do prefer a 3-bet, and it looks like that's what McMahon is going to do with the ace king here. Colin gonna fold the pocket twos in the big blind. Would have liked to have seen a flop. Gostel does decide to go all in. He's gonna be shown the bad news. 20%. I think that means the queen has been folded, but I'm not too sure. Normally this hand is 3-1. Instead we see 4-1 and no help for king queen. A 10 would be a great turn. Oh my days, a queen is even better though. An ace or a 10 needed for McMahon, or he is just decimated. Oh! Nuts on the river. Wow. That is just something else. What a river card. We lose a player. 2 players removed off of our feature table now. GG to Gostel. Wow, what a river. Best time wins. But wow. Nice hand, McMahon. Well played, buddy. Down to 6 players on our feature. The 8-handed curse of this feature table remains. We have not stayed 8-handed for long on this bad boy. And for your listening pleasure, Stephen Gostel busting in 14th for 1,950 euros. We now have a pay jump, 13th place, getting the wonderful reward, I think, of 2,150 euros, if my memory serves me correctly. Decker limps the button. I really don't like this. Not off these stack depths. I think this is just a pretty standard open. Playing 40 big blinds effective to the big blind, but you are playing very deep. You yourself have over 100 big blinds. Colin in the small blind, playing about 70 big blinds. I don't think you should have a limping range off of these kind of stack depths, and I think Queen 5 suited is just going to play better as a raise from the button. McMahon in the big blind, turning second pair. Of course, Colin in the small blind, flopping top pair. It's going to find the call. It would be a little bit loose to fold this turn second pair in a limped pot. But the Decker with an interesting strategy there, limping the button with the Queen 5 suited. Something you're going to see get brought in more sub 20 big blinds. Definitely not something you're going to see at around 80 big blinds. And check, check. Ace deuce going to be good. And Colin continues to generate chips. Playing a very solid game so far today. And that's him nearing the 2.5 million chip mark. Those wondering, David Lappin, Paul Carr, 2 names asked after, still in on that outside table. They may be off your screen, but I'm sure they're not far from your hearts. King 8 under the gun, McMahon gonna let this one go. Fairhay in the hijack. Slides it across. This one's gonna fold to the button, Cullen. Also gonna let this one go. A little bit of blind v blind action. Something I like to see. I would like to see a raise with the Queen Deuce off. Over a call. And it's a little bit of same hand fever. And we do see the raise with the Queen Deuce from the small blind. Very nice. Noel working well. It looks like we are going to get a break, potentially, in the main event here. The tables were just redrawn, but the breaks are, of course, scheduled to make sure that the dealers get their time off. People grab some drinks, grab some water. If they want a beer, grab a beer. Why not? Celebrate. Final 2 tables. All right, I think we're back. We did have a slight internet crash there. Apologies if that upset your viewing experience. All right, unfortunately it does look like the internet outage might have been server-wide. We can hear you but see some YouTube thumbnails. I will try and fix that. I think our internet went down. It went down on my end, so it might have actually gone down building wide for a few seconds, which would have upset the tech boys. I might be able to skip ahead to live broadcast, please. No, unfortunately it does actually look like we unfortunately did have an internet crash there. So we will have to wait for our tech boys to get this back up and running, which should not take long at all. And it works well because I think the players did just go on break. But it's good that you can hear me. You are not alone. I am here with you. I hope you guys are enjoying this commentary and this International Poker Open content that is being brought to you through a couple of different mediums, the main one here being the Unibet Poker Twitch channel. But of course, this content can be watched back on YouTube, Facebook, and the International Poker Open website, which I think is like an embedded YouTube video. So, Twitch and YouTube are your primary mediums. I do think that there was a slight outage here. Hopefully that is being resolved soon. But yeah, sometimes things go wrong. It's not necessarily anybody's fault. And I guess I can do this. I can do this. Because this is what we should be seeing. I still blame Lappin. Oh yeah, this is absolutely Lappin's fault. There is, I haven't without it, like there's no doubt in my mind that this is Lappin's fault. Yeah, unfortunate so far. But it looks like we are just gonna have to wait for this to come back up. Slightly unfortunate, but it does happen. I did send a message into the WhatsApp letting them know that this has occurred. But because there has not been a reply,